So this is just the homepage of what it's Klaxoon. It's a French app. They do provide online free training, which I've attended, because it takes a lot of a little bit of getting used to, at least for me, this app. So you click on New and Brainstorm. So we're going to choose Brainstorm. And one of the reasons we're going to choose Brainstorm is that most co-design and most facilitation begins with Brainstorm. And just to note, you can incorporate any of these into the Brainstorm. So you can add in these activities as you go along, no problem. So Brainstorm, the Brainstorm name, we'll say Teagasc. And we're going to do a bit of a live demonstration here with Anita, Richard, and John participating in real time. So Teagasc ACUS diagram, create. The trainer said you don't even have to enter any of these data in here. You can set objectives, you can set the mode of the brainstorm, you can do all of that if you wish, but it's much easier to do it once you enter the brainstorm. So just launch. This allows you to, this gives you an option. How do you want to broadcast to your audience, to your participants with an access code? So participants join with an email address or a nickname. Definitely prefer an email address because you can tell who your participants are rather than a pseudonym. So launch. So I may go into this, or else I'll just go back here. For some reason, I always click back to get the URL to invite members. And then I would go into Anita Nocton and reply all, and we'll get you the correct link, because I tried to set up the link earlier, but it's better to do it in real time. So I'm going to send you the link, guys, to participate and send. So everybody has the link. While I have a 3-month trial at the moment, but eventually, if I want this, I will have to purchase a license, but that does not mean that everybody I co-design with will need to purchase a license. They don't. So I can invite people to participate in my projects and they don't require any license whatsoever. So they won't even need to log in. So they click on the link and eventually they're going to enter the room, and you can let me know, guys, when you enter the room. This is the virtual room. Now here is the brainstorming board. Just, it's important to note, this is exactly the same function as a PinUp. So who are key actors in the Irish ACUS? I'll take the caps lock off. And I can color code here. I can draw if I wish. And then I can insert a picture if I wish to my post-it. It's all unnecessary for this particular exercise, but it does have that function. And then I post my post-it. Guys, did you manage to get in?
I'm in now, Áine, yeah.
Hi there. So I'm going to facilitate, I'm not very well, but just for the purposes of illustration, can you just generate, who are the key actors in the Irish ACUS? Richard, Anita, and John. So I see the ideas coming in. That looks very good. All excellent. While you're generating those ideas, guys, I should be actively facilitating you and encouraging you here, but I'm not going to, because this is not only a demonstration. But say if I wanted to, often in brainstorming, we put out an array of random pictures on the table for people to look at and to inspire them with ideas. It's a well-known tactic in participatory work, and they shouldn't necessarily be related to the topic, as we know, but a random set of ideas. Well, I just click and I can pre-prepare my room in this regard if I so wish. Before I invite people in, obviously, I can prepare everything. I can prepare templates. I just go open there as my picture here. I'll just continue, and I'm just going to minimize that. And they could be spread out over there, and I can import as many pictures as I wish, just for inspiration. So you're continually generating ideas there. Very good ideas, thank you. Some of you will recognize these because they came from the actual Irish ACUS diagram. And we did use brainstorming to come up with the diagram. So, so we'll stop generating ideas there, if you don't mind, please, just so that we can pursue the next stage. So it's same as PinUp thus far, and then I would ask for the card sort, do any of these go together and why? Can you start putting them together, please? You might just say why they go together, and we won't do all of it because this is just a demonstration. Why do these go together? And then you might say, where should they be positioned vis-a-vis each other? And in response to the question asked earlier, I might draw an arrow. Once they're sorted, I may not. And then there are two ways, once that's done, there are two ways of sorting them, two approaches, two physical approaches to sort them virtually. The first is, I could ask my participants, okay, so you have them clustered there very nicely, thank you very much. So we might color code them, So, so we'll stop moving them around just for the sake of it now. Let's color code them. What will we color code? What will we color this group? Okay, pink. Okay, excellent. We'll just do it all very quickly there. You can select them. Yeah, I didn't go around. You have to go around the whole perimeter in order to, yeah, so for the, yeah, so there we go. So, and then we might do these, that's blue. Thank you for doing that. That's yellow. And what we do then is we have the option of sorting by color. There. So we go into column and take some navigation, and then I'm going to sort them by color. And that will allow me automatically do that. I can export that. I can also move them around if I so wish and so on. There's another way of manually doing it. That's the automatic way. You would color code them or name them with a category, which is a little bit cumbersome because what you have to do is go into each post-it if you wanted to sort them by category rather than color. You would have to click and give it a category, edit it there to give it, actually name it, give it a category. So that's a little bit less helpful. There's another way one could do it. It's simply, and sometimes I prefer this, is to draw literally as one would in a room, a number of columns and say, okay, we're going to, right here now. The reason I have to go over and back is in fact because of the Zoom names here on the right. So I'll have to learn how to remove those names so that I can see my screen more freely. And then you have the option here of to move the board or my ideas and the board. Which doesn't seem to be, wait a minute now. And here is where I can start moving things into categories. And then I can decide, well, I'm going to give this a name and make a big square to indicate. So and I'm going to give it a title by inserting text, key actors, and so on. And I might decide to draw an arrow between them, which is perfectly fine, or across them, it doesn't really matter. Another aspect, and I think it's a helpful visualization technique, is, for instance, I might assign people in the virtual room, as described by Richard earlier. We can now break into smaller groups, and I'm going to assign one of these categories to each group to discuss. So what I can do is, I can go back to my cursor here, and I may decide to move. They're the different toggles, so you can either move the whole board, and I'm going to bring that over here. And I didn't include that in my selection, I should have. And I'm going to create a circle here to symbolize a table. And I'm going to say, okay, who wishes to discuss this? This is your table. I might put it a different color. This is the blue table. Who wishes to be assigned to this table to discuss this? and then they will self-nominate, or I might decide in advance who goes into that room to discuss this, and I move that away. Now, let's see if I can do that. I'm just going to move, because the board is actually so large. So this is the board, so we can move over there, but it's quite almost infinite that we can move, compartmentalize certain parts of it to be physically distant from other activities, and we can run a number of activities concurrently. So I'm going to move that over there. Maybe move that out of the way completely because we don't really need that anymore. And then assign people to their rooms and do that for all of the columns. And then we say in 20 minutes, we'll report back. What's more, another technique in co-design is that you visit each other's work. So you might break up into, say, 4 groups of tables of 10, and then you go and cross-fertilize by visiting each other's work. Because this board is so large, and you can have so many different parts of it, you can then physically, as facilitators, move in to focus on different parts of it and bring people with you. So let's go and visit the blue table and what they found and what the personas, for instance, they developed in relation to different types of farmers. And you can virtually move around to different corners of the room and bring people with you by using this. Just one other very good feature that I find with Klaxoon, it coincides with something that we use frequently. I also can introduce a template to, so I want to facilitate people to complete a template in a participatory way. So I'm going to get my template now off my desktop. Let's see what we'll use. So say this one. So climate change and policy responses. So we're going to move this way over here and do another exercise. And we're going to bring in, say, for instance, ask people then to generate a discussion. What are the extension practices that we can undertake to influence farm practice when it comes to climate change? So there I have a template. We can zoom in on that, we can zoom out, we can place an idea on the, so there's an option there to bring to back or bring to front onto the template. This is bring to back, bring to front. Is it? No, that's actually duplicate. Anyway, move to back, and then we get to see the templates as we place them on it. So there's that very interesting function. One more function before we move on. There's this idea of this function of questions. So everyone who's in the room, I can ask them a question. And the questions have 3 formats. I can ask them to vote on something. I could ask them to a poll, up to 20 choices, yes or no, or a rating. So this is a great way. Okay, we've come up with this. We've come up with 4 different options. Listen, let's have a discussion on which one we'll choose. You could also have a challenge. Okay, we've just had, this is more educational. It could be used in educational settings rather than co-design, but you could say, okay, we've just been hearing about grassland management. Ask a question then of fact to test their knowledge, and the first correct answer wins, and the person puts in their name and it says, well, So Young won this challenge. It comes up automatically. And this is a really nice tool, I think. You can either feed in all the post-its that were generated, and there was duplication there. There's always duplication, and what it signifies is that a particular idea is popular. But you ask people to contribute to a word cloud in response to a question, and it takes all the words, generates a word cloud, and of course it magnifies those words which were most popular or were used frequently.